Hi, welcome to this video where I'm going to show you a couple of Chrome features which help me in my daily life as a tester. So let's just get started. One of the best things that I find in Chrome is how easy I can investigate or inspect the DOM, the document object model. If I have such a page here and I want to see, okay, how are these elements on the page? How are they structured? How can they be identified? You can just click anywhere on the page and click on inspect, and this will open the Chrome developer tools. If you don't like the position, by going over the three dots, you can either put it under or put it on the left. It used to be on the right, or you can actually make it like a little bit of free for all. Let's do that. Perfect. And here you can see as I'm navigating in the developer tools, elements are being highlighted in the actual web page. This is very good if you want to see, okay, do you have elements which are in the DOM and are not shown in the actual web page, something like a shadow DOM. Or if, for example, you are getting started with automation, or if you're doing test automation. In order to interact with an element, you need to provide a good locator, a unique locator, actually. And if you have never done this, one way to start is to use the developer tool. So you can see now I'm over here, the autocomplete element, and I have no idea how to select it. That's no problem. Chrome does provide me with a feature that can help. I just need to go over the element, go to copy, and then select copy selector. And what did this do? Well, this basically tried and actually managed to generate a unique selector for this element. Don't believe me? I can show you. So in the Chrome DevTools, I open now via Ctrl F the search, and I'm just pasting what Chrome provided to me. And it may not look really user-friendly or really straightforward for now, but this is definitely a unique way to identify an element. And depending on whether the element is easily identifiable, for example, via ID, or via a name, or via a class name, or if it's more complex, you can use this Chrome feature. So let me show you. If I go to this date picker and I would like this one, so to know how I can identify this one, I just go here to the same thing, copy selector, and I delete the selector here, and I'm just pasting it. And now it identified it via the ID. So you can definitely start learning locators with this feature of Chrome. Once you get stuck, for example, so if you cannot find any ID or any name or anything like that which identifies it uniquely, just use this feature and it will help you go to the next step. Another feature which helps is the ability to identify colors, or to be able to check different colors of an element. When you're doing testing, a customer may come to you and say, well, I have this corporate identity template. I always want my pages to be this shade of blue, or this shade with a little bit of white, with a little bit of yellow, with a little bit of something else. And you have to make sure that the developer follow the rules correctly. And how would you do that? So how would you be able to say that this blue here is actually called Dodger blue? Well, we saw previously that we can inspect the DOM, and we're going to do the same thing right now. So we go to inspect, we put it here, and now I have the element selected. So you can see here there's something called styles. So this defines the styling of this element. And even the background color, it actually says Dodger blue. Let me select another one. And here it says, he doesn't say Dodger blue, it says RGB something. Okay, we can change that. So if we click on the color, you see we have it in RGBA format. And using these arrows here, we can navigate and have different different formats for the color. Fortunately, I'm not getting the violet, but you have to believe me, it is the correct violet. Normally, when you have a specification, you will not get orange. You will get actually for orange, so let's see, let's inspect this. So for orange, you would usually get the hex value or the RGBA value, something more technical, because orange is not really straightforward. I mean, if I would modify this a little bit, it's still orange, but it's a different shade of orange. Besides being able to identify colors, you can also identify fonts. And the same reason here does apply. So a customer comes to you and they have a really custom font that they paid a lot of money for, or they have a font which identifies with their brand, and you need to make sure that the correct text is being used in the application. So let's see, normally you need to do the same thing. So you hover over the text, go to inspect. Let me put this one to the side. And in the same section, the style section, you actually have something called font family. If you have a look, it does say here Times New Roman. If you want to go to another one, so you just open this, or click on this select an item. Let's see Monaco, and you see font family Monaco. Perfect. One really cool feature which is not always used, but which comes or should come really in handy when testing or when wanting to simulate different locations, is the ability to actually do this, to simulate your location. So I'm here on the W3 school website, and it has right now an example on how HTML geolocation API works. And let's try this. So it says right now I'm in Berlin. Well, I'm actually not in Berlin right now. I'm just tricking it to think I'm in Berlin. And how am I doing this? Well, let's close this tabs here, and we go to inspect. And we're going to navigate away from this element section and going to go to actually console. Let's clear the console, and over the three dots, let's open the show console drawer. And here you see you have something called sensors and says Berlin. Okay, but I'm actually, let's say I'm in San Francisco. And believe it or not, the system thinks now I'm in San Francisco. Okay. Well, maybe I'm in Tokyo. Seems the system thinks I'm in Tokyo. And you can even go to manage and you can add custom locations. I don't know, let me see, custom, not really good with geography, but let's try something. Time zone, no, Europe. And let's see what did I actually do here. So making custom, if you go to try it, I'm somewhere in Somewhere in Europe actually. The direction of Bulgaria. Okay, that's not bad. So you can see that this feature is really powerful. So it allows you to simulate different locations, especially if this API is used. So for example, if the system you're using is changing the language based on your location, then this is a good way to actually test this without physically having to go to the location or having to use some VPN services. You can do everything from your Google Chrome. Okay, next, what I want to show you is Chrome's ability of simulating devices, or Chrome's ability to show you how it will look on a specific device. So we open again the DevTools. You can also do this by just pressing F12 when you're on the page. And here we need just to click on this toggle device toolbar. And what this does is it allows us to play around or to see how the application would look on different devices. So let's see, how would this look on iPad Pro? Okay, nice. On an iPad or on a small iPhone. So you can see the site changes its layout. So it seems to be a really good site. It seems to be taking into consideration different screen sizes. There are, of course, situations where when you're doing exactly this, when you're simulating screen sizes, the size doesn't scale. And that's really bad user experience. And it's something which you need to report as an issue, especially if your site is mobile first and responsive. But we're in 2021 now, so most sites should be mobile first and responsive. And you can even say, or you can even define your own custom devices. So you can define, as long as you know, for example, the new Samsung or iPhone or Huawei is coming out and has certain screen sizes, you can define it there and it will provide you with a head start when testing the new screen sizes. If you want to deactivate this, you just need to basically unselect this option here. So you select it to switch to the device view and you unselect it or you toggle it to go back. Okay, so on the topic of devices, so actually let's go back there. And on the topic on devices, we are used to having fast internet. At least I always use my 4G, and a lot of people now actually have 5G on their phone. But that's not always the case. So not every country has high-speed internet. And it would be good if you know that your application is going to be used in countries or is going to be used on devices which don't support high-speed internet. You can simulate the internet speed. So for example, if I have here, you can even simulate it to be offline. So if I go offline and refresh, you see it says no internet. Why is this important with the offline? Because there are applications which, even if you are offline, do provide content. The only precondition is that you visited that site previously. So let's go back and say, okay, we're now on the low-end mobile. And you can see it takes some time to load. And if we say, okay, I'm mid-tier mobile, should load faster. can, if you toggle back, so let's toggle back, you can actually achieve the same via the network. So what does this network tab do? It actually shows us all the traffic that happens from the front end to the back end. And you see here we have fast 3G currently selected, and it's basically the same as we did same option as we had before with low and mid-tier internet. So if we go here offline and we refresh the page, it will be offline. And let's go back online. And you can define also your custom speeds. So custom speed, and I don't know what are the custom speeds generally, or what speeds one might use. But now we can refresh the page on our custom speed. It's good that we have the option. As long as we configure it correctly, we can use it to its fullest. Since we talked about the network tab, okay, let me put this online back. So since we talked about the network tab, this is very useful when you're doing your testing, because while you're seeing the traffic, you can also go into the individual requests. So let's actually go offline and refresh the page. And you can see a couple of requests were made here. Here you have the name of the requests and their status. 200, the 200, it's usually okay. So the request was made with no errors. But if you have anything else as other than 200, then you would need to investigate it. Everybody knows, or everybody at least saw one time 404 not found. If you have something with 4, it's good to have a look. If you have something which starts with 5, it's definitely good to have a look. Okay, but let's get now online, and we can see we have a lot of requests here. You have also the possibility to limit the request that you want to see. So for example, if you only want to see the images, let's refresh, and you will only see the images which are being asked from the server and given back to the application. You can go into a request if you want to see all the details. You just click on it and you see the request header, the preview, and the response, and also some more information regarding timing and cookies. So since we're on the topic of cookies, currently almost all the applications that you visit do store cookies on your machine. Ever since GDPR has been enforced, they just now need to ask you, do you want to store cookies? Or they say, if you want to use the site, you have to activate your cookies. But how do you know what they actually stored on your device? Well, it's easy with Chrome to have a look at it. If we go to application, we have here a section which is actually called cookies under storage. So you have storage, you have local and session storage, and you have cookies. And these are the cookies which are there from the website. And if I would go now and clear everything, you can either clear all the cookies from a different section or clear them individually. And now we can restart the page. You see the banner pops out because now I don't have the cookies anymore. So it asks me again, do you want your cookies? Let's customize our choices and see, okay, do we have anything special here? And let's just save the preferences. And if we go now here, in the developer tools, we have the cookies. And if you paid attention, they're a little bit more than they used to be before, because before I only accepted the, let's say, mandatory cookies. Now I have a little bit more. What's good with Chrome, you can actually have a look to the cookie properties. So it's good to know that as long as you don't delete the cookies, for example, this one here, this one expires in about a month. This one expires in 2 weeks plus. This one expires today. So it's always good to have a look at this. And also for testing, because when you're testing applications, you will have different cookies being stored on the machine. Cookies which have different purposes, but it's very good that with developer tools, you can actually check what are the cookies being stored, what is their expiration date, what is their size, in order to ensure that they meet the requirements. We're now using Chrome since a couple of minutes, and Chrome is definitely known for the fact that it's really resource intensive, meaning it's using a lot of resources. But how do we know how much resources are being used right now by our Chrome? For that, you can open the Task Manager. And how do you do that? Well, you just press Shift Escape, and it will open the Task Manager and will show you everything that you're doing right now in Chrome and how much memory is being used. And in case you don't feel like it, in the sense you don't want different pages to still be available, you can just select the pages and end the process. And by doing that, you will see some changes in your experience. You'll also see some changes in the tab itself, because right now I closed the CSS color tab, which means the memory it was using has been reallocated or has been freed. But I can still, if I want, I can still reload the page, and then the memory usage of Chrome will slowly grow. Okay, so we've seen a lot in this video. We've seen how we can inspect the DOM, get different properties from the elements, how we can simulate devices, how we can simulate network, how we can simulate location, how we can have a look at what's happening in the network. We had a look at cookies, we had a look at performance. One last thing which I wanted to show you is the lighthouse tab. And what this tab does is basically checking, just start the report right now. It's basically checking the page that you are on for different, let's say, issues or improvement possibilities on certain categories. I've selected actually all of the categories that it has, and based on those categories, it will give you a score. And as you can see from here, so a score below 50 is bad, between 50 and 89 is okay-ish, and bigger than 90 is in the good range. And with this report, you can have a look at it together with your development team, and it may help you find possible improvements that can improve both performance and user experience. Good, that's the end of this video. I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, please subscribe and also click on the bell. And if you have any suggestions or comments, just let me know, and I will be more than happy to make a video about them. See you in the next one.